Are you still there, my love? It's been so long. Will you be back, my love, from where you've gone?
So it's the first time I've had a show of prints that are not editioned. It's also the first time that I've created prints that become paintings and drawings and pastels in such a developed way. And I really wanted one because that meant more to me. I really needed it to only be one. I did the first charcoal drawing on the ground. It was a big 6-foot drawing. The funny thing is, it didn't look like Aphrodite because I did it from below. So all I could see was her chin, her nose and her eye. And she was very, what's called contrapposto, very foreshortened. So I decided to work. I did the charcoal drawing to get to know her, but then I worked from a photo where I could really concentrate on one, getting her likeness, but I wanted to see her at eye level. After I did the charcoal drawing on the floor, I started to scratch this version of Aphrodite out of the copper plate, and it's a very clean, classical representation of her. So she's unaffected here. She's still armless, and the idea for me is that as an artist who's been interested in classical drawing as a foundation for all types of contemporary approaches to drawing, this was a definite way for me to start and a way into the creative process. So in this image, she still hasn't got her eyes, she hasn't had any arms added, it's just almost a direct representation of the statue as it is.
What have you made of the collection overall?
Well, I love it. You know, it's all different, and a lot of work's gone into it. And you know, I know it's all done on different things, but and different colours, and he works with all sorts of. I know how much depth he puts into things and the way he thinks. So when you look at a piece, you look at it and you think there's more to that piece because I know he thinks about stuff.
So with this particular piece, she's starting to be fully formed. So she's gone through all the different metamorphoses. I've given her arms, I've taken them away. She's got the remnants of how she looks at different points. So it's sort of containing the history, and that's the beauty of a dry point, is that it contains all the history. All the marks underneath are still in the plate, but they're there as ghosts. The pentimento, the regrets, the kind of things that imbue our own stories and our lives, and the story of love. It's all in here. And then here there are some stitches that appear in the breast, and someone very dear to me had breast cancer, and so it just went in naturally into the plate. It just couldn't help but go in. And then over here there are little bits of nails inside her, and they represent the idea of things that happen to us in our lives, including love and love lost, and the kind of marks they can make on us, and how we carry those marks. So she's almost like an African Congo figure, which I've been inspired by in the past. So in this image, it's a dry point, it's got plate tone, but it contains nearly all the things that she's gone through, all the things that have transpired, all in the one plate.
What was it about this particular piece that stood out to you?
The color, to me, it's like the old ancient word coming to age, coming to our time now. So, I mean, I don't want to say anything offensive by saying it looks like a disco, but it does to me. The colors are fluorescent, and she exists. So she's not only, well, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 years old, but she's also of today's.
Well, it's an incredibly emotive exhibition. I actually had no idea what the exhibition was about. I sort of came in and I walked up here and I was just actually taken aback. It was really incredible.
There's almost a sense of rawness to this
it is.
Piece as well, right?
Well, I think the thing that really resonates with me is just love is imperfect, and this artwork really has layers to it, and I think as humans that's how we are.
The idea is that the layers that are created in our lives, and they get built upon, so the things that happen to us are still there. It depends what we do with them.
Talk to us about what this piece says to you.
Okay, this was the one that I was drawn to, not just because I like the colours, and there is this sadness in her eyes, but it was the two hearts that got me because, I don't know, there's a part of me that has always been a shameless romantic. I think that we're more human when we let ourselves be vulnerable.
I love that. Oh, sorry. You were...
No, it's just, I'm glad you love it, but that's just how I am. So I know by doing that, you're kind of putting yourself out on a limb, but I'd rather be out on a limb than nowhere.
What astounds me about all of them, I was lucky enough to see Marco print one of them in his studio a couple of weeks ago. The physicality involved in the work. This isn't just a pencil on a piece of charcoal on a piece of paper. He scratches into the plate and it's physical, it's intense. That's what I see coming out in the work.
Right.
Are you still there, my love? It's been so long. Will you be back, my love? From where you've gone?
Are you still there, my love? It's been so long. Will you be back, my love?
So with this particular piece, it's still a dry point initially, but I've drawn over it so many times and printed over it so many times. It's had so many layers, which kind of suits the idea of an archaeology. And so it was at the last minute that I decided to split her in half. And I was getting them photographed, and she was photographed in her full image. And I decided to cut around her. So I always wanted one where she was cut around to really enhance the idea of her shape. And at the last minute, after she was photographed in full, I decided to just rip it. It just something said to me, this would look really good if it was split in two. And at the moment I did it, John Hughes, the writer, was there, and he said to me, this looks like a fissure, like a split down the middle like you would have with an earthquake. And that very night in Melbourne, there was an earthquake, and it was kind of, I'll always remember that, but it's kind of cool because in a sense, it's broken in a way that she might break in real life, down the middle and in different spots where she might be weaker. And so I've got cracks and things appearing throughout the image. Also, she's got a greenish phthalo green ink, and so for me that's the idea of copper being oxidised. And also some statues with the bronze colour, well, not the bronze colour, but that kind of verdigris. So it really lends itself to the idea of it looking aesthetically like a piece of sculpture. And again, she has the clock of time, the biological clock.
To me, it's about life, you know. Where, very few people go through life without being damaged in some way. It's what happens to people when they... Yes. He cut it in half and he made a work of art out of it. And he took the risk and it's worked. Touches me.